Good morning. We are Interconnective Awareness and Meditation, or I AM for short. Although I'm always preaching, if that's the right word, mindfulness meditation. That's a meditation where we focus on 4 points to bring ourselves to a place of no mind. You could say, why? Why do I need to meditate? What do I get from it? What is the point of it? The idea of certainly interconnective awareness meditation is for us to discover our true selves and what we really are. And that opens up a whole new world. But it takes a higher level of awareness, because the awareness we understand the tools we have and how we use them right now. We think that we are our mind. Anything the mind says, we believe that's us. There's the saying, I think, therefore I am. We believe we are the processes that go on in our mind. So we get a thought in our mind and we think that defines us. That's who we are. Our mind will tell us, I've been through this, I've been through that. That's why I am like I am. So our mind, we allow our mind to define us. And our mind has an idea, has a thought, and it then generates an energy from that. And that energy, when it gets denser and heavier, a vibration turns into a feeling. And then we react on that feeling with our behavior. So if I can affect your mind, if I'm an advertiser, say, I can affect your mind, give you an idea. That idea will generate and germ and turn into a feeling. That feeling will turn into a physical action. So I can influence you by what I try to get into your mind. And to do that, I need your attention. So advertisers are constantly looking to get your attention. The media is constantly looking to get your attention so it can influence you. And if it can influence your mind, it can influence your feelings and how you feel about something and how you behave around something. So your mind is very, very easy for people to manipulate. And people like Darren Brown, who are experts at that, can prove that. And advertising, there is billions and billions of pounds spent on advertising because they know that it works. It affects your mind, which affects your feelings, which will affect your behavior towards a product. And because we are our mind, we go along with that. When you start to learn mindfulness, and certainly mindful meditation, which takes you into a state of mindlessness, so there is no mind there, you've actually reached a higher level where the mind loses its dramatic effect on us. Because if you can observe the mind, take a look at the thoughts that are coming from it and observe it, then you realize instantly that you are not the mind. You have a mind and it is your tool. And you're not using your tool correctly. In fact, your tool is using you. It dictates to you who you are, what you've been through has shaped you, etc., etc., etc. It tells you everything about yourself, and we buy into that, and we simply accept that must be the truth. And it isn't the truth. But we need to evolve. We need to expand our awareness. We need to have a greater sense of self-awareness. And meditation, mindfulness meditation, the meditation we teach, gives you that. It allows that expansion to take place. It creates a gap between the observer, the watcher, which is you, and your mind, and the observer and your feelings, then the observer and your physical reaction to your feelings, and then the observer to your behavior. So you take a step back, realize that these things are not you, but they are there for you to make sense of the world. They're there to protect you. They're there for you to experience, but they are not you. And most people think they are them. So meditation, mindfulness meditation, certainly I am meditation, interconnective awareness meditation, is designed to take you up to a place of I am. And that is I am before I am thinking. So the I can observe the thought. Okay? So that's the idea. That is what, not the idea. That is what meditation is. That is what we teach as meditation. So it's a higher consciousness. It's a greater understanding of yourself, a greater self-awareness, and within that, the mind doesn't deal well with stressful situations. It's just not good at doing it, which is why there's so much stress. Anytime the mind interprets an action or a thought or an influence that comes into it, if it's too much for it to handle, it will try to fight against that. It will try and get you out of that. It doesn't cope well with it, and that's why there's so much stress in the world, because we buy into that. The ego lives inside the mind, and the ego causes us endless problems. So if we can distance ourselves or create a gap between the mind and who we really are, that space in between who we are and what we thought we were is where we need to be functioning. And if we function from in there, then we have much greater peace and tranquility, because we're not being affected by the mind instantly. We're taking a step back, and that allows us, like I say, thoughts, feelings, actions. That gives us a whole new level of ourselves to work with. And that's what interconnective awareness meditation is about, and that's what meditation is about. The thing that I would love people to understand is that if guided meditation, where they get you to imagine a certain scenario, walking down a stream and everything's flowing nicely, it has its place, because I believe in PATS, which is a positively adjusted thought. I believe in that, because whatever we allow our mind to constantly mull over, that becomes a thought pattern, that becomes habitual, and anything habitual becomes the way we think. We start to think, and the way we start to react in the world. So positively adjusting your thoughts, using your mind, controlling your mind, programming it yourself, choosing what you accept and what you don't accept in your mind is definitely a good thing. And this type of visualization can be certainly helpful in many cases, and I've done it myself, but it is not meditation. So when someone says I'm doing guided meditation, they are not doing guided meditation. They are doing a visualization. They are trying to help you, or encourage you, or influence you into a certain way of thinking. If you think you are meditating, you are not. Because if you're thinking, you are not meditating. There is a slight grey area, because you can be observing your thoughts. So therefore you would be in meditation, because you've created a gap. But you are not doing the thinking. The mind is thinking, and you are the watcher or the observer. If you do not think you are meditating, then you are. Because if you are not thinking you're meditating, then you are. There's no thought, therefore you are meditating. So that's one that I stick by. If I think I'm meditating, I'm not. And if I don't think I'm meditating, I am. And the danger is when we get into a meditative state, that the mind says, I'm doing it, I'm doing it. And the second it says, I'm doing it, you are not. So I just thought I'd like to clear that up. What meditation is, and the reason we're doing it, and what the results of that are. What you do when you're in a state of no mind is you enter a place of complete peace, emptiness, and tranquility. And the idea of meditation is not to sit down twice a day and do it in seclusion, because that's very easy to be at peace, empty and tranquil when you're in seclusion. When you go off to a retreat somewhere, it's easy to go into the mountain and lock yourself away from everybody. And that's the way of the faker. That's what it's called. In-house training is what we are doing. If you brought a Buddhist from a temple and gave him or her a job, some children, plenty of finance, and give them all the pressures that we have in our everyday life, and then said, okay, show me how peaceful you are now, he would find it, or she would find it, slightly more difficult, because there are so many more things interplaying and pulling on us, demanding our attention. So doing what we're doing here in-house while we are trying to run a job, we do have children, we do have pressures, it's a lot more difficult to do, but it's a lot more rewarding when we do it. So the idea of meditation, like I say, is not to seclude yourself from life and have this lovely experience of peace and tranquility. The ultimate idea is to do it in seclusion and then bring it out into the world. And then you find you will function so much more better. You know, when you can knock yourself out of gear and into neutral, you make better decisions. You have a greater clarity. You can observe your mind when it's mulling over a decision, and you can decide what you do and what you don't do. And doing anything when you are deeply, deeply peaceful inside and you are deeply rooted within yourself, every decision you make is going to be a better decision. You will also allow the energy to flow. I was a holistic therapist, and I studied the finer energies of the body, the meridian lines, the chakras, and the auras. And the mind affects those because an energy needs to flow freely through the body to keep it healthy. And when you allow the mind to take control, the mind, if it finds quite a big influence on it that it doesn't like, it doesn't deal with it well, and it creates an emotion that is restrictive and constrictive, and that affects the finer energies inside. So if you carry your tension in, say, your lower stomach, then this energy is affected by the mind ultimately, and that will clamp up, and that prevents these lovely free flow of our natural finer energies. And there's a build-up of energy behind the tension, and that's where we get our problems. So it's an imbalance. So the body, if you carry it in the pit of your stomach, sooner or later you end up with stomach problems, cramps, indigestion, etc. And you can start, and wherever you carry it, that's where you'll get problems. You get people that get terrible migraines. Guess where they're holding their tension, and guess where it's coming from. So learning to learning to use your mind as a tool, because you have a mind. You are not the mind, and meditation allows you to understand that. So as soon as you start using your mind as a tool and it stops using you, then you can start to choose the thoughts you have, and certainly the thoughts you act on, and you naturally and subtly start to reprogram your mind. We watch programs on telly because they are called programs for a very good reason. What I do is now filter what's going on in my mind. And when I see someone trying to make me think something or trying to influence me, then I start to look at that and I start to assess that. And then I will go and do my own research to find out if that's what I want my mind to be telling me. If that's what I want to be bouncing around my mind, to become an habitual thought. And that's what we should all be doing, because we're far too easily influenced, certainly by the media. That's its job. Why do you think there are papers? Do you think it's to keep you updated on the latest trends? No, it's not. It's a way of influencing your mind. Therefore, your emotions, therefore the way you react towards something, and the way we're being influenced to look at other world leaders, and look at the government, look at what's going on in our world. You can see the massive, I'm going to say this, but it'd be a bit controversial, but I'm going to say it anyway, because it's true. Government, the word government, govern means to control. If you govern something, you control. Ment comes from mentality, mind. So the word government means control of mind, or mind control. That's what it means. And if you look deeply into these situations, you'll find that's exactly what is being happened, is what they're doing. That's what they're designed to do, to influence your mind and control this thing through the influence and the way they make you think. It's no different from an advertiser. It's not good, it's not bad, it just is the way it is. So the world's in a mess. If we look at the wars, I looked at the last time Britain was at peace, and I couldn't find it. I looked at the last time America was at peace. It probably was, same as England, but I can't find it. We've been attacking other countries under the guise of humanitarian causes for as long as I can look into history. So, if we weren't influenced in certain ways and made to think that these things were okay, therefore felt it was okay, and therefore some of us were driven into action to actually join these causes and actually stopped and looked at what was happening and maybe really assessed this information ourselves, did as much research as we could before we allowed ourselves to get involved in these things. Just maybe, there wouldn't be as many people murdered and killed and maimed, displaced. Just maybe. So you have to take responsibility for what goes on in there. And that is, I'm sorry, but I am absolutely passionate about this. Absolutely passionate about this. It's changed my life. It's changed the way I see the world. And if you enter into it wholeheartedly and honestly and with an open mind and do your own research and meditate and learn mindfulness. Mindfulness is a big thing at the moment, but the true discovery is mindlessness. Mindfulness is simply a vehicle to get you to mindlessness. This is going to be, hopefully, the next big thing. Too many people are trying to get you mindful. I want you to be mindless. And mindless has had a bad past. That's mindless behaviour. It's had a bad press from the beginning. And it is our true state. Mindlessness is our true state. We step into gear and become mindful and start listening to the mind and accepting what it says once we choose to. And then we knock it back out of gear and come into that place of complete peace, tranquility, and centeredness before we step back out and make another decision. Then back, then out, then back. At the moment, we're out there all the time, and we're fully influenced and have no control. And it's our fault because there is a way for us to take control, and we need to take responsibility for ourselves and what we allow to go in. And to do that, we need a greater awareness. And that's what we're trying to preach. That's what I really want people to get. Because like I say, it's life-changing. Okay, I'm going to stop now because I have a mouth like a torn pocket in a hurricane and I know it. So I'll just keep going on. So all it remains me to do is thank you for your attention. Thank you for focusing on this because I do believe it's incredibly important. Have a lovely day. There's only one of you. Look after yourself. Go out and enjoy that lovely sun. Okay. Come back on every Sunday morning. We do a meditation here. Please tell your friends. And if you think this is any good to anybody else, please pass it on. That's getting the word out for me is what this is all about. And if you have any questions, please post them and I will do my very best to answer them. Okay. Have a lovely day.